In this video, I will be going over my vintage 1985 Tandy 1000A. I bought this computer in the November of 2007 for $10. And it doesn't show very well here. I don't have the greatest of lighting. But if you look at it right here, I mean, you can see it was originally bone stock. I had two 360K floppy drives in here, double-sided, double density, top and bottom. I took the top one out to put this in. This is something, you can't really see it very well, that I'm starting to do to most of my machines. It's basically a hard drive caddy that pulls out. And if you take this part here, here we go, take that off, you can see there's an actual hard drive in there. This used to be on my old Cat 486. This is an 8 gig drive split up to roughly 4 2.1 gigabyte FAT16 partitions running DOS 622, which I know isn't the greatest thing for a Tandy 1000 because, well, it's an 8088. The Tandy 1000A was actually the second release of the original 1000. The first release didn't have a DMA controller and no support for the Intel 8087 coprocessor. On your typical first 1000, you have, of course, the Tandy 1000 badge here. Below, you have, this is your reset button, this little Atari fire button looking thing. It's your proprietary 8-pin DIN keyboard port for your 84 key or 85 key keyboard. That's one of the removal screws in front, and then you have two ports here that support a TRS-80 joystick. The Tandy 1000 series was really big on repurposing your TRS-80 components. Of course, I have a TIAC 5¼ inch 360K double-sided, double-density DSDD floppy, the red LED, the other access screw in here. Now let's spin her around and look at the back. Now, I'm refinishing this anyway, so on the back of the Tandy, you have, of course, your standard IEC power cord input. You have a parallel printer port that uses a proprietary cable. I never use printers on my vintage PCs. There's just no reason for me to do so, because it's just so, you know. I mean, really, who wants to print with those? I actually don't even use a printer with my modern PC. I just prefer to go print somewhere because I print so rarely. Of course, you have the obligatory badge with the serial number on the back and everything. It doesn't really tell you the wattage of the power supply. If I remember correctly, I think it was like a 65 or a 67 watt power supply. You have your RG, well, this is for a light pen. It's a 9-pin DIN port, but it's not a serial port. It's for actual light pen, which was like a strange technology around 83, 84, 85 that really never caught on. Over here is your standard 9-pin 2-row DB RGB monitor port. I use this with my Samsung multi-sync, which I'm going to have to put on this, because over here we have the composite video and audio output. And when you put a Tandy 1000 on composite, you have two options. You can either hold F12 for TV mode, which actually gives you color, or it'll give you monochrome mode, and you won't be able to see in color on anything, and certain programs won't even work. The audio is totally mono, but I've got a splitter, so I can turn it into stereo. Up here we have a fan. I'll show you, talk about more of that on the inside. On the back here is 3 cards. I have a first generation Vintage Computer Forum XD IDE card in here. That's what runs the IDE drive. And it's got the standard XT BIOS on it, believe it or not, I think. Although, I don't know, did I flash it for Tandy 1000? It's been a million years. I hardly ever have to do anything to this one. It never breaks down. Right here's a 3COM, I think it was a 3COM Etherlink 2 TP Ethernet adapter. I think it was like a 3C905 chip in it. This is a 10 megabit per second LAN adapter. Yes, it works on Ethernet, and yes, this thing can access. I actually use the MTCP suite on this to access it, so it acts as an FTP server. Over here you have my far out card, which is the memory expansion card. Now I'll open her up and take a look and now we're looking at the front of the Tandy with the cover off. I mean, here's all your buttons and ports down here, reset button. This ginormous 8 ohm 1.5 watt speaker in here. This thing is bloody loud. But there's something that people don't talk about too much with the Tandy 1000 I'll get into in a little bit regarding the speaker. As you can see the cards from the inside. There's the vintage Computer Forum XT IDE card. There's little dip switches down there, set the memory address and whether or not the BIOS is enabled or not. There's my 3COM Ethernet card. It's a 16-bit card, but works in an 8-bit slot because this jumper right here actually switches between 8 and 16-bit modes. Some cards actually will work in an 8-bit slot without having to have a jumper set, but this one's kind of, I don't know, I just felt a little more secure buying this card because I knew it would actually work in a Tandy 1000 without giving me a whole bunch of problems. And then lastly over here, and this is kind of a rare piece probably, this is the 384 megabyte memory expansion card, which has, or 384 kilobyte memory expansion card. Been living too much in the modern world. This card basically has 384 kilobytes of RAM, and it adds an important function the Tandy 1000, the original 1000, and others didn't have: direct memory access. So this card allows direct memory access as well, DMA. So you have that. Looking down here, right down here, we have an Intel 8088 processor running at 4.77 megahertz and a, I think it's like a DIP 50-pin IC. This is the slot for the 8087. I haven't installed one yet. Somewhere in the near future, even though I know it's kind of a risk because the Tandy 1000A and Tandy 1000, some of them couldn't handle an NEC-V20 CPU. I do want to put an NEC-V20 and an 8087 in here. And the reason being is I'm crazy like that, and, well, I like to try and optimize my variables as much as possible. Over here, let's take a look at that. That's the 8259. So that's like your programmable interrupt timer, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I looked at motherboard stuff, board level components. Oh yeah, now we're going to talk about the internal speakers. So right over here you can see the internal speaker section of the Tandy 1000. Right there is a 8-pin op amp. I don't know particularly what kind of op amp it is. It could be an LM386 or an LM853. LM386, of course, no relation to the E386 microprocessor. That's the connector for the speaker itself. And this right here is the seldom most neglected feature on these Tandys. On the motherboard right here, we have a trim pot. And what does this trim pot do? Well, this trim pot adjusts the volume for the external speaker. You can see it's up and down. I have it midway because I wanted to cut the volume. When I first put this thing, started using this thing back in 2007, I thought it would piss my apartment neighbors off because the thing was just bleeping loud. I mean, geez, you could not imagine there. Alright, now looking down over here, I mean, there you can see my IDE cable. It's kind of messy, neatly routed back over here into the bay. I took the fan out, it doesn't really need it, and it's just more of a strain on the power supply, which is this bar right here. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the fans in the Tandy 1000. And I actually know of a shop in Seattle that has had one of these. RePC actually had a fan for a Tandy 1000 sitting out. So PC case fan, like, someone's going to plug that sucker into their computer. They're going to be totally disappointed when it doesn't work. This is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's an actual 120 volt case fan. This thing also gets pretty loud if it gets dirty, but it also spins very, very smoothly, as you can see. Not bad for a computer that's reaching 34, 35 years old, almost. I mean, everything works. Everything's clean. I take very good care of my old machines. That's why they still run. That's why I've been doing this since 2001, and all this stuff still works. Okay, we're going to turn the Tandy on. I'm holding F12. We're going to power it on. There we go. 640K. The reason I'm holding F12 is that's TV mode on this machine. And I could get it to boot into regular graphics modes by putting my monitor on it, but I don't really feel like plugging all that in just to do that. So, yeah. Here we go. Here we are. So, it's taking its grand old time. Might have held it just a little too long. That's one of the glitches with this machine, is that if you do hold on to F12 and let it beep too many times, it does hang sometimes. So here we go. Boots in MS-DOS. We're only in 40 column text mode for legibility of text, and because we're in TV mode, we'll take a look at a few. We might take a look at some software. Almost every one of my vintage PCs has this. If it runs DOS is the main OS. It's got, start computer for clean. I always have a clean boot option for diagnostics. Normal, which is usually just the standard boot. Games, typing things, all that fun stuff. Network mode. On this computer, typically, on pretty much any machine that I have that runs DOS, it usually loads a packet driver for the Ethernet adapter. These things are not full-time network machines, probably a good thing, because they're not as secure as my Windows 10 box I'm using to record this is. But I have the ability to basically put this on a network, get it on the internet. I can use lead IRC on here. Start computer for Windows 1.01. You have Windows 1, 2, 3, and Deskmate 2 on here. Deskmate 2 is corrupt right now. I've got a few things to fix on these after the move because a few things are acting up. So I'm just going to use the clean boot option. That should be just fine, just what we need. Alrighty. Now, I usually divide my drives up into fourths. So I have my OS disk here. That's my C drive. So you can see it's got, check CPU, screensaver. I have copyright. And some of these programs I don't even really use. I just have them on there to show them off just for fun. I do have some Tandy digital sound and some Sierra games and Sierra software on here that I have in the original boxes. Quite a bit of that stuff. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one. D drive. This is the drive where all the applications are. You have Easy Case, Harvard Graphics, Algebraics, Basic, 2 different versions of Basic, Coffee 2 PC, 2 different versions of Deskmate, Xtree Pro, Check CPU, Minuet, Arachne. I'm trying all kinds of stuff out on these machines just to see if they work. One interesting one, if you see at the bottom, there's CIA Pro. So CIA Pro is Create Interactive Ventures Pro. It's a text adventure engine that I'll probably show off at some point. Anyway, let's go in here. E:. This is my games drive. Of course, everything's alphabetically done. Yeah, I've been trying Nintendo emulators on this thing. I'm nuts, so that's what I do. I try all kinds of stuff that people say can't be done, and half the time, well, sometimes more than half the time, sometimes less, I get it to work. So right here we have NES, Dungeons and Dragons, which is all like the Forgotten Realms classic stuff. Stuff that runs on AA8. I have some AGI fan games made with AGI Studio on here to run them on the actual hardware. I have Ultima. I think I probably have Ultima 1 through 5 on here. I'll probably show you a little bit of Ultima 5 later on here. Then you have F:. F is just my catch-all drive. This is what I use when I'm pushing files to the machine from FTP or whatever. It's just a way to keep installer programs, extra files and stuff corralled so they're not taking up valuable disk space where I'm actually using my programs. I had some guitar picks in my pocket. Haha. Alright, so I think probably the next thing we'll do is go to the D drive and take a look at check CPU. So we'll do W, just so I can see the directory because I have so much stuff on this. Let's go to CD. And let's see if the graphics wig out because it's all crazy. It is a Tandy. I've never even tried this program on there before. But it's also an 8088, so... Okay, I guess we need to reboot. I'll check my phone. Oh, shoot. Now, here we are. Alright, so we're going to do this, and we're going to start work on this. Here we go. Standard mode. Okay, we're going to go play some Ultima 5 on here. So, here we are. This is how Ultima 5 running, maybe a little slower, but it's running near the speed that it was intended to run at. Check out that animation. Lord British, of course, Richard Garriott. Lord British. It's going to look a little funny. Turn that down. Now it's going to look a little better. Ha. Alright, so this is Ultima 5 Warriors of Destiny. Ultima 6 will run on the Tandy 1000, the original 4.77 megahertz version. It's just, your party will be like, oh, my pacemaker. And it literally does take an entire day to walk to you from Britannia, so probably not a good idea to run that one. Let's journey onward. I have a game going on. Of course, it takes a few moments to load. It's a Tandy. Give her a break. No 3-voice sound on this one. You got some graphics artifacts because I'm running it in Tandy graphics, but over composite, so it's going to have some artifacts. It's not particularly fast, not particularly exciting, like I said. Well, not exciting for now. I don't even know where the heck my thing... Ooh, an enemy. What have we got here? Is that an enemy? No, that's just the walkway with some artifacts on it. But yeah, it's just one of the games you can run on the Tandy 1000. This was designed to be run on an old CRT TV. So you can enter a town. If I let's play this, it's going to be probably on my 286 because it's a lot faster. But, yeah. So, got that. No. No. Let's all get out of here. Let's get out of Dodge. Run. Filled the keyboard buffers. Yeah, we're all gonna die. Bastard lawmen. Run. Run, Yellow. You're our only hope. They all perished. But yeah, this was what gaming on an 8088 was like. So this should give you a good idea. But this is the Tandy in action. This is what it does. Well, what I mostly make it do. Complete with the ear rape internal speaker noises. Am I being revived or am I being attacked? Just look at that wonderful animation going so fast. Not. If they got thunder, appeal, let them be on your side. Hey, it's a Cars quote. Those are some strange words. They sound like an angle grinder on a 50-gallon drum. Vertigo. Skipped ahead many moons, and here we are. Yeah, it's very slow for this game. So we'll control E. Yes. So that was Ultima 5. Let's play something more... Here's something with the Tandy 3 voice sound and the graphics. Leisure Suit Larry and the Land of the Lounge Lizards. I'm actually going to let's play this one eventually. And I might actually use the Tandy for it. I am... Now here's the thing about Leisure Suit Larry, and I'll probably do this when I do the Let's Play in a little bit more in depth, but this is the old form of copy protection, and it was a way of keeping your kids from playing this game because, well, it has some... Not blatantly, not pornographic, but it does have some kind of lewd content to it. Not lewd like naked people banging bodies together on screen, but more like censor bars and implied sex. So that's what this video has. That's what this game has. Sorry. Well, yeah. I didn't give you an age? Yeah, I'm timeless. To ask me about what Abraham did back then. Dagnab you. Oh. Alright. Let's try and get in this game. So I can at least demo some stuff. How old am I? Well, since this came out in 1986, I'll just say I'm 18. I find computer games with adult contempt be acceptable. Correct. Who has not been a U.S. Attorney General? Wow. Heavy questions for an 18-year-old back in the 80s. But then you have to think about who the crowd was these were aimed at. Most of the rowdy rocker kids like me probably wouldn't have had a computer. So I'm kind of lost on it. But I'll just be stupid and say C. Well, the leader of Nazi Germany... Well, frick, that's a stupidly easy question. Could have won that one if I was 8. Result of Watergate was... Richard Nixon quit, of course. Bourbon Street is in New Orleans. Well, W.C. Fields. Although most of these you're supposed to take the humorous answer or humorous answer or the correct answer. That's at least how the manual outlines it. I know because my bro has a copy of this with the manual. My bro-in-law. Okay. And of course, we can make the speed more tolerable. The nice thing I like about this particular one is we can go to speed over here and go to fastest, and then everything runs at pretty much almost normal speed. So this kind of shows you, this is kind of why I'm also planning to put probably an NEC V20 in this later. Let's hear some more of that Tandy 3-voice audio. And the graphics are great on this one. So that's what I'm going to be using it, and I'm going to close up on this. Yeah, see you in the next video.